I just remembered that it's going back to 3 hours. The moment is finally upon us. It's almost here. It's almost 2025. It's almost a new year. I didn't mean to rhyme, but it happened as it came out of my mouth. WWE Raw is finally moving to Netflix starting January 6th, 2025. And I can't help but constantly say things like, wow, it's the insurrection of WWE Raw. And I'm really sorry that that's where my brain goes, but I find humor in the state of the world. Before I really get into yap mode, please make sure that you are subscribed and hit the bell for notifications. I plan on having a lot of things to do in 2025. You're gonna be seeing me do a lot more cool things, and I'd really hate for you to miss it. I want you to be able to say, hey, I knew her when, so go do that. I'm on a journey to make videos answering a lot of the most answered questions that I get multiple times in live streams on chat. And one of them right now is, how do you feel about Raw moving to Netflix? How do you feel about WWE being on Netflix? And it was a confusing question for me at first because I didn't really know what my answer should be. Because personally, I don't necessarily care what network my show is on as long as it's accessible to me and it runs and works, then cool beans, I'll watch it. But I get the logistics of it, and when I really start thinking about it, Raw moving to Netflix really is a big deal. It's a monumental deal. Raw debuted on USA Network in 1993, and the only time they moved off of it was from 2000 to 2005 when they went to TNN, and it was Spike TV for that period of time. Raw is one of, if not the longest running episodic weekly television show. That's a huge deal. So not only is WWE and Raw in itself a monumental thing in entertainment and production TV history, but also so is Netflix. For the youngins that might not remember, Netflix used to be a service where you would order DVDs, they would send them to you, and then you would send them back. It was a mail-in rental service. And then they got a little more advanced, and we had the Netflix Red Box that was outside of every local CVS, Walgreens, drugstore, 7-Eleven, and you would go up to the box, there was a sunscreen on it, and you could pick whatever you wanted, and you could pick video games, and you could, return the video game back 2 weeks late and then have to pay $20. I don't know if red boxes still exist, but again, moments in time, they have evolved with time. That's what it takes to survive in any environment. You have to evolve and thrive. People aren't learning that. You gotta change with the times. You can't be complaining and stuck in the past just because you like something the way that it was. You gotta move, you gotta move. And Netflix is doing that. Netflix is changing with the times. They are going to start doing live television. They're partnering more with networks, and partnering with WWE is a really smart move on not only their part, but on WWE's part. Netflix is the largest live streaming service. If there's one service that I think most people have at this point, it's Netflix. They have some of the best original content. They have some of the best documentaries, some of the best throwback shows that they throw on. And so overall, on paper, partnership looks good. It's a good idea and it makes sense. The things that I'm blurry on, the things that didn't make sense to me are in different countries. Okay, so it's just Raw that's going to Netflix in the US. When is that changing? Are we gonna get SmackDown on there as well? Are we getting everything that we have on the network? Is it still going to be on Peacock? Are the PLEs still going to be on Peacock? In what country is everything going to be on Netflix? I don't have the paper and the contract to really figure all that stuff out, again, because that kind of stuff doesn't necessarily matter to me. It'll matter to me when it matters and when I need to know, but as long as I know in the moment where the stuff I want to watch is, I'm Gucci. If I could think of really any negatives off the top of my head, it's just mainly that we have to have so many damn streaming services in order to watch things. We were getting rid of cable months ago, years ago, to switch over to the streaming services, and now they've caught on and they're like, we're gonna make you have to choose all of these different things. Yeah, such is the state of the world. The world is a business. As far as what I expect, I've had a lot of people ask me about the rating of Raw when it goes to Netflix, whether it be G, MA, TV14, PG, whatever other ones there are. Again, that's something that doesn't really matter much to me personally. And if it does to you, I mirror you the question of why does it matter to you? What is it about TV14 or TVMA programming that would make it more suitable for you to watch? I don't even know if that applies when it comes to live TV on Netflix, but I've seen a lot of people talk about it. Me personally, I feel like everything is fine just the way it is. I don't feel like they're super restricted, and anything that they are restricted on is not something that I really care to see on television anyway. The beauty about what WWE does, I think, is that you save dramatic things like color for special occasions. If you see it all the time, it loses its luster. It's not quite as exciting anymore. If you see it every week, it's not really that special. We've seen that happen in other promotions. So the rating, kind of irrelevant to me. Another huge one that people wanted to talk about was the buffering issues. And that came about with the Logan Paul, Mike Tyson fight. And again, the thing, and even Triple H addressed this, they had 150 million people watching, I believe. 150 million. Right now on network programming, I believe Raw gets between 1 and 2 million viewers. If for some reason Raw gets more than 2 million viewers on Netflix at one time, buffer. What is the difference right now between the little blunders that they have on USA? There are moments where we have black screen. There's moments where we've had things periodically. It's the state of television. It's never going to be perfect. I don't think we need to freak out. Netflix really is a well-oiled machine. It's been around a long time. It has not survived the test of time by being stupid. They're gonna learn. There might be hiccups, but I don't think it's something that we need to freak out about. Something that I really am interested in seeing is the difference between what they do on USA with SmackDown while they have Raw on Netflix. And the roster is included in that. We've had the teases of the roster being split, of another kind of mid-season draft, because clearly Netflix has picks of who they want on their program. So who's gonna get left behind? Are we gonna have brand specific finally, like actually, or are we gonna have to float back and forth? Because I've always said the brand split is made up and the rules don't matter. I mean, yeah, we have the draft, but there's no, you can make up any reason at all to send someone to a different show. It doesn't matter. Not only am I interested to see who ends up on what roster as far as talent is concerned, I'm interested to see how many old casual and lapsed fans, I don't know, start watching wrestling just to give it a try because they have Netflix. Like I said, Netflix is the most popular streaming platform. People have it. If it's on mindless television, people are going to be curious. They're going to give it a shot, especially when you have people like me out there glazing the shit out of it, telling you to watch it. Me and many others. We see you in the comments. We see you. You watch the little clips of us saying, you were the reason I got back into wrestling. Okay, well, sit down and watch the show. It's very available to you. Better yet, it's basically DVR'd. You could skip through. I bet we don't have to deal with commercials. It could be peak. If they really know what they're doing, they'll kind of organize it a lot like how they have YouTube, where they'll organize segments into folders where you can watch specific moments so that you don't have to skim through a 2 to 3 hour program. I just remembered that it's going back to 3 hours. I'm not a huge fan of that for time's sake, but I get it. I'm fine either way. Clearly, I've watched Raw for 3 hours for years. I'm gonna be okay, but I do kind of like it being 2. And in that possibility, I wonder what kind of original content we could get and what the plans are for that. We have seen, obviously, that WWE has a great digital mind when it comes to digital media. They have come up with a lot of cool shows, a lot of cool YouTube channels. What could we get on Netflix? Could we get specific shows? Could we get specific after shows? Could we, what could we have happen as far as that's concerned? What kind of possibilities are there as far as entertainment goes? Remember the reality shows of Totally Divas, all of the things like that, Tough Enough. Could we see more wrestling themed kind of reality shows? Because those sell. There were non-wrestling fans watching Total Bellas. If it's not on like a network cable TV channel, it's so much more accessible. More people would be willing to give it a shot just because they've binged everything else. Oh, well, let's give this a go. The one thing I feel like I'm just not excited about through the duration of 2025 is the fact that pro wrestling fans can't help but be tribalistic in everything that they are interested in, whether that be wrestling shows, wrestling rosters, wrestling promotions, wrestling creators, brands of chips, tribalistic about everything. So I know that there's probably going to be a lot of comparison back and forth between Raw and SmackDown, and maybe that's healthy. Maybe it's going to be healthy competition. It's always been there. We've always heard the A show and the B show. And the biggest question of all is just, what does this mean for WWE and professional wrestling? We already know we're in kind of the Renaissance era. We already know that our expectations are set so high because wrestling is kind of the best it's been in a long time, if ever. We're in a really good moment. We really want to really savor it and capture it. And we need to be open. Listen to me right now. Eye contact. Listen to me. We need to be open to letting people that have not watched wrestling before get into wrestling. They don't need to know the name of every move. They don't need to know the name of every show. They don't need to know the name of every champion. They could know diddly squat. You need to shut up and let them give it a shot, because that's the only way that the sport can not only thrive and stick around, but just succeed. And if they succeed, then that's good for us. It's good for the business. It's good for everybody. It's good for every promotion out there. Monday Night Raw on Netflix airs January 6th, 2025 at 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know how it's gonna go. As of right now, I am planning to stream on Twitch and YouTube and watch as I normally do. If something comes up and I can make it to Los Angeles, I'm gonna be there. But for right now, it's a couple weeks away. I'm planning to be right here doing what I normally do.